Welcome to The Explainer. We're skipping the usual agenda today because, well, we literally just need to jump straight into this. Picture this.
Most people know this story, but almost nobody knows what really happened. Stay until the end because one detail changes everything. Welcome to World Cup Tune.
It's 3 a.m., May 27th, 2023, South Korea. A taxi driver is grinding through his usual late-night shift. He pulls over for a fare. Totally normal, right? But what starts as just another late-night pickup is about to spiral into one of the most chilling, genuinely unsettling true crime cases in recent history. We're going to dive deep into the data, the exact timelines, and the psychological profiles that map out how an absolutely unthinkable crime came together.
So our story actually starts with a gut feeling. Just a simple, nagging gut feeling. The taxi driver pops his trunk for the new passenger. It's this polite, baby-faced young woman. Honestly, she looks like she could be in middle school, but she is hauling an impossibly heavy suitcase. He offers to help naturally, but she insists on doing it herself. And then there's the destination. She wants to go to a dark riverside park, not an airport, not a bus terminal, a pitch black park at 3 a.m. Now, he's just thankful she's polite and not, some belligerent drunk, but still. As he watches her lug that massive suitcase into the darkness, this terrible thought just starts gnawing at him. Something feels wrong.
And the sequence of events that follows, it confirms his absolute worst fears. Check out this timeline. At 3 a.m., he loads that back-breaking suitcase. 3:15 a.m., she's dropped off at the park. He figures, hey, no other cab is going to come out to the middle of nowhere at this hour, so he takes a quick smoke break. Well, just 15 minutes later, at 3:30 a.m., she comes back needing a ride. But here's the kicker, the detail that changes everything. The suitcase is now ridiculously light. It's literally bouncing as she walks. Nobody, and I mean nobody, just throws away a suitcase full of clothes in a dark park at 3:30 in the morning. Terrified, the driver trusts his gut and calls the cops. And without even realizing it, he had just tipped him off to a dismembered body. His quick thinking completely blew this case wide open.
Section 1. The Deadly Tutoring Appointment. Let's move to this and see exactly how this builds. To really grasp this tragedy, we need to talk about the victim. Because of privacy laws in South Korea, she's known by the alias Hannah. She was a bright, successful university student working as an English tutor, and she loved it. She wanted to be that cool tutor who made learning fun. But incredibly, this exact profession is how she crossed paths with a killer. CCTV captured this jarring, almost unbelievable contrast. On one side, you have the manufactured image, what looks like a cute student with a bob haircut, wearing a thrifted middle school uniform, just casually skipping down the street. Skipping! But the reality, terrifying. This was not a middle schooler. This was 23-year-old young Yoo-jung. She used that completely innocent disguise to trick Hannah into opening her apartment door, all while hiding a knife right underneath that uniform.
So how did you even get the address? Well, Jung exploited a massive, glaring blind spot in the gig economy. She used this really popular tutoring app that matches parents with tutors. Now, the app constantly brags about its security, but the thing is, it's totally one-sided. Tutors like Hannah, they have to jump through hoops, upload transcripts, verify university status, hand over personal data. But the parents and students on the other end, absolutely zero background checks. Zero. Jung just posed as this adamant, desperate mother looking for an English tutor for her daughter. She slipped right past the platform's non-existent security like it was absolutely nothing.
And look at how meticulously she planned this. This was not some spur-of-the-moment crime of passion. She actually started searching online for how to hide a corpse way back in February 2023. Fast forward to May 26th. At 6 p.m., she enters Hannah's apartment and commits the murder. Then, and this is wild, she casually leaves, takes a taxi to the store, buys bleach and trash bags, and goes back to dismember the victim. By 3 a.m., she's in that taxi, heading to the Nakdong River. Forensic experts pointed out that picking a grassy riverside was incredibly calculated. She knew the insects in the natural environment would rapidly accelerate decomposition.
You know the story, but you don't know the secret. The next mystery is already waiting. Subscribe to World Cup Tune.
Section 2. Unraveling the killer's lies. Okay, let's dive into this.
Police actually tracked Young down just 5 hours after the taxi driver made that call, and she was calm, completely collected, ready to spin this massive web of lies. But watch how the authorities systematically tear it down. Her first alibi? Oh, it's my baby that I delivered at home and didn't want. Boom. Forensics debunk that instantly. Medical examiners know the difference between adult bones and infant bones. Plus, she had zero signs of being pregnant. So they confront her with Hannah's ID, which they found at the scene. Her response? She fakes a stomach ache to get taken to the hospital. When that stalls out, she pivots to alibi number 2. I was hired by a third party for identity theft. Nope, digital forensics crushed that one too. Her phone had 0 contacts. Literally nobody was hiring her for anything. Finally, alibi 3. We got into a fight, but the fake tutor profile proved it was premeditated. Honestly, she didn't crack until her devastated grandfather, the man who actually raised her, showed up at the station begging her for the truth. And that finally brings us to her chilling confession. Just read this quote. "I just wanted to experience murder. I wanted to know what it feels like." Let that sink in. Investigators found out she had this extreme, unhealthy obsession with true crime documentaries. But she wasn't watching them like most people do, out of curiosity or, a sense of justice. She was studying them, studying the killers. She was also reportedly obsessed with a Korean thriller movie called Helpless. It's a film about a woman who steals other people's identities. Basically, she wanted to step out of her own life and right into the shoes of a murderer.
Section 3. The invisible suspect. To truly wrap our heads around this, we have to look at who was actually hiding behind that middle school uniform. Her lifestyle bordered on extreme social isolation. It's a phenomenon sometimes compared to the hikikomori lifestyle seen in parts of Asia. We're talking about a complete withdrawal from social engagement, education, and employment for extended periods. Jung basically locked herself in her grandfather's house for 5 years after high school, just telling him she was studying for a civil service exam. Now, I want to be super clear here. This kind of extreme withdrawal is absolutely not inherently linked to violence. Millions of people struggle with this silently and non-violently every single day. But for Jung, this deep, profound isolation became a dark incubator. Criminal psychologists have drawn a really stark comparison between these two women. Think about it. Hannah was incredibly successful, going to a prestigious university, actively engaging with the world. Jung was a total recluse, 0 phone contacts, living a complete lie about studying. But here is the potential spark. Years earlier, Jung applied for a job as a golf caddy. During the phone interview, she flat out refused to speak, and obviously got rejected. When she aggressively demanded to know why they didn't hire her, they politely explained they needed someone proficient in English. Experts theorize that this humiliating rejection, specifically over her English skills, ignited this deeply seated, deadly jealousy, a jealousy that eventually drove her to hunt down an English tutor. Section 4. The psychopath evaluation. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what experts were dealing with.
After her arrest, authorities put it through some really rigorous psychological testing. 28. I want you to just keep that number in your head for a second. 28. During her second evaluation, using the Hare Psychopathy Checklist, this was Jung Yoo-jung's official score. So what does that actually mean? Let's put it into context. The severity of her psychological state is honestly staggering. So the Hare Psychopathy Checklist measures traits on a scale out of 40. Your average everyday person usually scores around a 5. The official clinical threshold to be classified as a psychopath is 25. And as you can see, Jung scored a 28. She didn't just cross the line for psychopathy, she blew right past it. To put that 28 into an even sharper, way more disturbing perspective, take a look at this comparison. Ted Bundy, notorious, scored a 39. But look right underneath him. Jung Yoo-jung, with her 28, actually scored a full point higher than John Wayne Gacy, who got a 27. She even scored higher than Kang Ho-sun, one of South Korea's most infamous serial killers, who also sat at 27. The raw data places this 23-year-old first-time offender in some historically, terrifyingly dangerous company.
Section 5. The aftermath. The fallout from this case has been immense, both legally and socially. And experts warn we might not even have the full picture yet. Because, remember, Jung is a pathological liar. But look at the stark reality we're left with today. Reports say that Jung is eating high-quality meals and sleeping like a baby in prison. 0 signs of anxiety, 0 remorse. Meanwhile, the heroic taxi driver who literally cracked the case, he refused a police reward, quit his job entirely, and is now living in hiding. He is utterly traumatized by what was sitting in his trunk that night. And all across South Korea, terrified gig workers and tutors have been mass deleting their profiles. They're realizing that the platforms they completely rely on offer them virtually 0 protection. Which brings us to our final lingering thought. You know what the app company's response was to all this? Basically a shrug. They claim they just can't easily verify the parents or students using their service. Wow. And that leaves us with a really critical, urgent question. In an era obsessed with digital verification, how safe are the apps we blindly trust to let absolute strangers into our homes? When a platform demands your entire life story as a worker, but asks absolutely nothing of the client, who is really paying the price? It's a massive, chilling reminder of the vulnerabilities built into our app-driven world. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to really question the digital footprints and safety protocols in your own day-to-day life.
Every story we share has one purpose: to explore, understand, and question the world. This is his Join the Journey. This is not just a channel. This is our family. Every Saturday, together we grow. Please support our journey. This is your channel too.